Phil Rice. Phil is a native Tennessean, currently living in Woodstock. His writing has appeared most recently in PBS's Next Avenue, Ginosko Literary Journal, I might not pronounce that right, and the Connotation Press. He founded Canopic Jar, an arts journal, in 1986, a venture for which he continues to serve as the editor. Phil, come on up, please.
Hi, it's really truly an honor to be here and very happy to have met the folks here tonight, and I look forward to being back. I'm going to read a couple of selections from Winter Sun, a memoir of love and hospice, which I wrote. I forgot something very important. I had surgery a couple of years ago for my eyes, but I still got A to Z's to read. Winter Sun, a memoir of love and hospice, is primarily focused on the winter of 2011, a time during which Janice, my companion and fiance, is diagnosed and treated for stage 4 glioblastoma multiforme. It's more commonly known as a brain tumor. The narrative is built around a series of email updates that I had sent to friends and family as the events occurred. The bulk of the text was composed during and after a period of darkness and slow healing. Among other stylistic choices, the memoir includes a prelude, an interlude, and a postlude, all of which pull from outside works, poems and songs, to illustrate the moment. Since these pieces exist independently from the narrative, they are a little easier to read for an audience, so I'd like to read the interlude and the postlude for you now. Ideally, I should sing parts of these readings, but I have neither the singing voice nor the courage to pull that off. But I will do my best to speak those lines musically. Interlude, Ode to a Miracle. A cold January morning. I wake, shower, pour a cup of coffee into a Go Cup, and get in the car. The morning rush hour traffic is backed up going into Pittsburgh. I inch forward, inch forward, inch forward. My mind struggles to feel the road. Applying and releasing the brakes is an emotional chore. The slightest physical movement is an enormous struggle. The flow of blood through my veins is imperceptible. My heart is sleeping several miles away in a hospital room, wires and tubes keeping the process of life alive in motion. Some acoustic folk songs from Bruce Springsteen are playing through the car's sound system. I'm not consciously listening, but the familiarity of the music brings a mild comfort. Then, at the end of the playlist, I hear the first licks of a song I don't recognize. Normally, I arrive at my destination before this song comes on. But the lengthy traffic delay has allowed for considerable listening time today. The sound is an acoustic slide guitar or perhaps a dobro, not an instrument I associate with Springsteen. The raw sound of the guitar and the heaviness of the vocal draw me into the lyrics. It's a fairy tale so tragic, ain't no prince to break the spell. I don't believe in magic, but for you I will. The lines describe this exact moment in my life with haunting accuracy. One minute, Janice and I were euphorically in love and planning our long life together. The next, we were dangling over a precipice. 12 to 16 months, if all goes well. Fairy tale gone bad, and me, your Prince Charming, unable to summon any magic powers to save her. Sleeping Beauty awakes from her dream with her lover's kiss on her lips. Your kiss is taken from me. Now all I have is this. The morning had begun as the previous night had ended, with a cacophony of well-intended words of love. After Janice's condition was first announced on social media, messages of encouragement had been arriving in overwhelming numbers. But many didn't know what to do with the news, so they led with their first line of defense. God grants miracles if you ask. Some advanced to a more confident position, suggesting that the key is the number of voices petitioning the Lord. Once the number of prayers hits the required limit, God responds. But living at the hospital these past weeks, watching the different stories unfold, the recoveries, the deaths, felt more like an organic crapshoot than sacred magic. And for most folks, the experience was a soul-draining limbo, an eternity of time spent helplessly waiting for the recovery or the death. Now, as the ridge that separates me from downtown Pittsburgh comes into view, Springsteen's voice sums up my level of optimism well. Counting on a miracle to come through. With my hands on the useless steering wheel, my mind internalizes the lyrics. Yeah, I will believe in miracles. I will believe in every story ever told. If it means Janice will return to us, to me. In this moment, I'm seeking to step beyond the confines of what has become a two-dimensional world. I can sense third dimensions of which I was previously unaware. And they're right there. But I can't complete the transference. I'm still sitting in a worn-out Oldsmobile, navigating my way to a hospital. My face is quivering. I want that miracle. I can hear the words. Miracles happen. God will do it if asked. Yet my faith in that idol is gone. I can't deny it. Atheism has no appeal for me. But the concept of a gendered being who grants wishes is not something I was able to successfully bring with me from childhood. Still, in this hour, the Christian fundamentalism of the American South, where my family tree has been growing for almost 3 centuries, breathes its fear-based judgments on me. My disbelief is causing God to take her away. This is punishment for my lack of believing. The people who are rising from their beds and leaving the hospital, they're being rewarded for doing it right. But as I drain the last sip of coffee from the Go Cup, those judgments come up empty. This is about Janice, not me. There's no deity harming her under the pretense of eternal love. Of this I'm certain. The various assurances given so freely are continuously tearing at a deep wound. But I suddenly find it easy to let those assurances stay on the surface where they dwell. Springsteen's song is nearing the 5-minute mark, and it too is putting miracles in place. We've got no fairy tale ending. In God's hands our fate's complete. Your heaven is here in my heart. Our love is as dust beneath my feet. If I'm going to live, I'll lift my love. I'll lift my life, darling, to you. I'll lift my life. As the music fades into silence, I roll down the window and allow the last remaining fumes of religion to be replaced by the awareness of pure love. Postlude, love song for the wind. The breeze followed the Allegheny and Monongahela rivers and joined at the Ohio, tousling my hair on the way. My friend Bettina and I were seated outdoors on the terrace of a restaurant overlooking the confluence of the rivers. I let my mind relax and enjoy the sunshine and warmth of summer, even as my thoughts were ceaselessly drawn back to the cold, ancient winter. I'd been accumulating and processing ideas for several months, quietly and alone. In my brokenness, the results were often baffling. But now I had the opportunity to find some relief in their expression. And so, as we waited for our beverage orders to arrive and scanned our menus for a sandwich or a salad, I shared my observation that acceptance does not supplant the profound realization that follows my every thought and action. The realization that Janice is not coming back. Just as I was vocalizing the words, my senses are jolted or jolted by the sound of Norah Jones singing Don't Know Why. I was instantly transported. Morning in late February, I roll off of the inflated bed where I nightly wrap myself in a quilt and fall asleep while holding her hand and listening for her breath over the hum of the healthcare machinery. Stepping into the kitchen, I grab a can of liquid food and a sack of morning medicines and return to the living room, the room where her physical world is now defined. As I approach the head of the hospital bed, Janice is watching me. I smile and begin talking to her, saying cheerful good mornings of the sort I'm certain had been neglected in days not so long ago. I open the blinds to let the natural light of dawn into the room and begin arranging the personal hygiene materials on the rolling bedside table. I place the medicines and nutrients on a narrow hand-carved table that is wedged between her bed and the window, and I complete the prep work by queuing up our favorite morning playlist on an iPod. As the loving chores begin, Norah Jones begins to sing. Threading the plastic tubing through the feeding machine and connecting the nozzle to the catheter in her stomach is a step-by-step process that offers a perfect moment to sing along with Norah. When I saw the break of day, I wished that I could fly away, instead of kneeling in the sand, catching teardrops in my hand. Having heard the songs every day for several weeks, the words flowed naturally. But I don't have much of a singing voice. At best, it is a musical growl. It's warbly and unconcerned with key. But such nuisances don't bother Janice. My heart is drenched in wine, but you'll be on my mind forever. The right corner of her perfect mouth bends just slightly, and her eyes embrace me with a look of adoration that makes my heart flutter. Sinatra, Elvis, the Beatles, she places me above them all in a single loving gaze. When the song Come Away With Me starts, I'm in the midst of what would normally be considered remarkably intrusive actions. Yet she endures the violations without the slightest hint of embarrassment or indignity. Come away with me, and I will write you a song. I stop my activity for a minute just to sing along with Norah, squeezing every ounce of musical possibility out of my ragged vocal cords. Janice bats her eyes mischievously at my little solo, and I lean over her and gently kiss her, our eyes never breaking contact. And I want to walk with you on a cloudy day, in fields where the yellow grass grows knee-high. I break character long enough to whisper, like Andrew's bald. Then I catch up with the song. Come away with me, and we'll kiss on a mountaintop. Come away with me, and I'll never stop loving you. We share a giddy adolescent moment, capped by gentle lip kisses and soft caresses, and then I resume getting her ready for the morning. Each breath we draw between us is loving. There are no more lines of intimacy to cross, no more barriers between us of any sort. In the midst of this terrible nightmare, we have reached the magnificent summit of love. And just like the climbers of Everest, our time at the peak will be brief before the necessary descent. A part of the trip we both know I'll soon be making by myself. Our journeys are beautifully joined, yet eternally distinct. My face turned toward the restaurant, searching for the speakers, as if finding the electronic source of the music would somehow remove my intense emotional attachment. Facing Bettina, I mumbled an explanation about the song. In the brief silence that followed, I again felt the breeze from the rivers, a delicate breeze that slipped under my arms, nuzzled my cheek and held me gently, even as she continued swirling on her unknowable journey. And my shattered heart smiled. Thank you for letting me share that. It's the first time I read it.